Alright, hello everyone. We have a breaking news story that happened overnight here in Queens. A teenager was shot in his home in Jamaica, and no surprise, NY1 is not even covering it. I mean, who cares about Scott Stringer? I mean, really? Really? This TV station covers news stories too little, too late. You know, I will give Pat Kiernan credit in the paper segment. He did talk about what's going on at Rikers, because the situation there is just completely out of hand. At least NY1's talking about that, but the other crime, it seems they just want to ignore. But at least the good thing is they covered the lady who got mugged in Times Square over the weekend, and at least they covered the emergency landing at LaGuardia, and surprisingly they even covered the shooting that happened in Staten Island. The Forgotten Borough. The real Forgotten Borough, even though it seems Queens starting to become like that. So let's read this. A teenager was shot twice in the back by a gunman who entered his Queens home on Sunday evening, October 10th. The 14-year-old boy was shot in the residence on 136th Avenue near 243rd Street in Jamaica at about 9 p.m., according to sources from the 105 precinct. The victim was taken to Long Island Jewish Medical Center in New Hyde Park, Long Island, where he was listed in stable condition on Monday morning. The teen's name was not immediately released. A suspect has not been apprehended. So there you go, a major story that should have been covered by NY1, but they didn't even bother to send a reporter. And by the way, again, I work at Long Island Jewish, and because of HIPAA, they're not allowed to give the teens' names, so that's understandable. But my point is, this should have been covered by NY1. Alright, a major shooting that happened overnight. And look at this. Look at this. Channel 2 actually sent a reporter last night. So it just proves the point. Then again, NY1 just has their own agenda. What's going on over there? Oh, don't give me any excuses that you don't have enough staff. Alright, this was a major breaking news story. Major breaking news story. You have an obligation to serve the 5 boroughs, NY1. Give me a break. Give me a break. And surprisingly, there's nothing even on the Queen's Courier website. I just checked QNS.com and nothing's even on the Queen's Courier website. Well, I do want to get to the other important news from the weekend. This has been covered a lot during the weekend. Nurse dies after being shoved by suspected mugger near Times Square. And no, I'm not going to read the NY1 article. Alright, I refuse to read that. Alright, even the incident at LaGuardia, I'm going to read from the Queen's Courier, because at least they had a longer article. So let's read this one. A nurse who was shoved to the ground by a brute near Times Square has succumbed to her injuries Saturday evening. Maria Ambricoyo, age 58, of Bayonne, New Jersey, was taken off life support and passed away on October 9th after a man shoved her to the ground on Friday afternoon, October 8th. So, it says here that a 26-year-old man from New Jersey named Jermaine Foster allegedly robbed another woman's cell phone on Broadway near West 40th Street, which, by the way, that's where Joe's Pizza is, at 1:20 in the afternoon, and was on the run where he pushed Embrico to the ground and she hit her head near the pavement as she fell. Foster allegedly fled and ran into two patrol cops in the corner who arrested him for robbery and assault. They also charged him with another robbery and a count of burglary for taking the other woman's phone, according to a department spokesman. Paramedics rushed Embrico to the hospital, Bellevue, NYC Health and Hospitals, in critical condition, but passed away the next day. She worked as an oncology nurse at Bayonne Medical Center in New Jersey. So, just very, very sad. And look, they even have a picture of this person. I mean, this is very alarming to think that this person's smiling in his mugshot. No remorse. No remorse. And look at this. Cops see creep who groped 12-year-old girl on an East Village bus. Another story NY1 ignored. Detectives are looking for a creep who groped a preteen girl while riding the bus in the East Village. According to police, at 4:39 p.m. on September 14th, a 12-year-old girl was riding the M14D bus at the intersection of 1st Avenue and East 14th Street in the East Village section of Manhattan when the suspect grabbed her groin over her clothes. The victim got off the bus at this intersection. The suspect remained on board and later disembarked and entered the subway system. So he probably got on the L train. No surprise. No surprise. The NYPD released a photo and a video of the suspect, who has been identified as 42-year-old Juan Hernandez, taken from inside the 14th Street Union Square station. Like I figured, he took the L train. Yep, here's a video of him. Yep, another EDP that should not be using mass transit. There you go. There you go. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, I want to read this. This is another urgent story. Officer fires shot during Flatiron District vehicle stop. In fact, I think CBS 2 even covered this one. Let's see. Let's see. Just want to see. Yep, the Flatiron District. In fact, Channel 2 actually did a 2-minute report on it this morning. No injuries were reported after a police officer fired their weapon during a traffic stop in the Flatiron District connected to an ongoing robbery pattern investigation on Monday morning. One man involved in the traffic stop was apprehended with minor injuries and after attempting to flee officers. Another suspect stopped during the incident remains at large. Police sources said the trouble began at 1:20 a.m. when police stopped a BMW in the area of West 28th Street between 6th and 7th Avenues within the confines of the 13th Precinct. So this is the Flatiron District. According to law enforcement sources, the BMW fit the description of a vehicle involved in a citywide robbery pattern that include 2 recent high-stakes heists in Chelsea, in which ritzy robbers swiped millions of dollars worth of jewelry. So another story NY1 should have been covering. And another story right by their studios that they refused to cover. But Monday's car stop quickly devolved into chaos when the officers discharged their service weapon. No one was hit by the fired shot. At this point, it is unclear why the officer pulled the trigger. Police said the 2 male suspects managed to flee the BMW on foot and officers pursued them. Cops were able to capture one suspect who reported suffered a minor head laceration and was treated. Charges against him are pending the results of an ongoing probe. The other man inside the vehicle was able to endure police and flee the scene. He remains at large at this time. Sources familiar with the investigation stated the officers at the scene discovered a firearm allegedly belonged to the suspects. 2 officers involved in the shooting were treated for tinnitus at a local hospital. So they were probably taken to Bellevue. So I'm thinking that's the closest hospital you could take them. So let's just see this couple videos here from CBS 2. So I will give CBS 2 credit. I will give them credit. But surprisingly, I didn't see this on News 4 New York at 11 this morning. So there you go. Another story NY1 should have been covering, but they didn't. So let's read this one. So this was back in August. There you go. So there was 2 robberies in Chelsea. 2 robberies. Way back in August, and the cops almost caught these perps. I'm just going to take a look and see what else is here. I mean, so much crime going on. But I'll just focus on Queens, because I don't want to make this video too long. So let's read this one. Public housing complex at Queensbridge. Oh, let's read this one. Homicide reported at the Queensbridge housing complex. The unidentified male victim to a bullet wound to his chest outside the Queensbridge South houses at the corner of 10th Street and 40th Avenue in Long Island City at about 1:52 a.m. on October 10th. Officers from the 114th Precinct and NYPD PSA 9 found the victim in front of 10-16 41st Avenue while responding to a 911 call about the shooting. Placed on a preliminary investigation, police determined that the victim was shot after getting involved in a dispute with an unidentified male. The argument turned deadly when the unidentified male blasted the victim in the chest and fled in an unknown direction. EMS rushed the victim to New York Presbyterian Cornell Medical Center where he was pronounced dead. Police have withheld his identity pending family notification and to comply with federal HIPAA law. So far, no arrests have been made in the ongoing investigation. Police did not have a more detailed description on the shooter. So, another story that happened in the northwest section of Queens, and I'll find it. Here we go. 16-year-old girl strangled by a vagrant. Look at this. In fact, I think Channel 4 covered this over the weekend. A homeless man has been charged for allegedly strangling a 16-year-old girl who was sitting outside an Astoria restaurant back on Monday, October 4th. Police from the 114th Precinct said that at approximately 5:30 p.m., Melina Martinez approached the 16-year-old girl as she sat outside Watasha Sushi, located at 33-10 Ditmars Boulevard. So there you go, another crime story in Astoria that NY1 ignored. So that makes two that should have been covered. Martinez, age 36, placed the girl on a chokehold before fleeing the scene. The girl sustained pain, redness, and swelling but was not hospitalized. Police released surveillance video of the incident back on Friday, October 8th. And Martinez, who police say is on the Miller side, who was arrested, so we do have an arrest, good. He was charged with strangulation, so that's good news at least. So, there is a video of it, and I do apologize if it's graphic, but you need to see what's going on. You need to see how bad this crime rate's getting in Astoria. Okay? This is what I've been talking about for a very long time now. All these issues going on in Astoria that, again, is not being covered. I'm sick and tired of it. I really am. This wasn't even covered by NY1 either. So, a missing man was found dead in Oakland Lake. The body of a 24-year-old who had been missing for 8 days was found in Oakland Lake on September 30th. Kakron Anderson was found unconscious and unresponsive in the Bayside water at 12:45 p.m. He was pronounced dead at the scene. The cause of death has not been determined. Anderson, who lived down the block from the 45th Avenue and Cloverdale Boulevard Park, had been missing since September 22nd. The 111 Precinct had posted in a tweet in search of the missing man, as well as a photograph of him stating that Anderson left his home at around 8 p.m. and never returned. According to a verified citizen report, the FDNY first received a report of a person in need of a water rescue, but the incident was soon after declared a crime scene by police. So, there you go. Another story that NY1 should have also covered. Alright, and let's get to the last story from the weekend, because this was an urgent one. Unruly passenger leads to emergency landing at LaGuardia Airport. So thankfully NY1 did send the reporter right away when the story broke. A Republic Airways plane was forced to make an emergency landing at LaGuardia Airport on October 9th after a disrupted passenger was reported on board. According to a spokesperson from Republic Airways, a passenger began acting erratically towards the end of the flight, which prompted the emergency landing. The passenger was taken into custody for questioning, yet the exact details surrounding the incident have yet to be divulged. So, here are the details of the flight. Republic Flight 4817 took off from Indianapolis International Airport and was due to land at LaGuardia Airport in Flushing. But the disruption forced the pilot to make a slight diversion when coming into runway 4 just after 3 p.m. on Saturday, October 9th. Authorities converged on the strip, including members of the FDNY and NYPD. So, the airline said in a statement, American Eagle Flight 48F-17 deplaned on the taxiway upon arrival at LaGuardia due to a potential security issue. The aircraft landed safely and all customers deplaned without incident. According to American Airlines, 78 passengers and 4 crew members were evacuated without any reported injuries. So, from what NY1 was saying, they're claiming that this guy claimed that he had a bomb on board. Which, in 2021, how are you even able to get an explosive on the plane? Alright, that's logically impossible. Unless what? You're going to bring a match onto the plane? You can't even do that. After the shoe bomb incident. So there you go. More stories that NY1 could have been covering, but, you know, I'm titling this video, Shooting in Jamaica Ignored by NY1. Or, House Shooting. That's what I'm going to call it, because, honestly, this TV station, again, just has their own agenda in front of them, and they just don't seem to care that a 14-year-old kid was shot in his home minding his own business after, you know, somebody just randomly entered the house. I mean, that's a scary thought. You know, that's why you really need to take locking your doors very seriously. Because somebody can just enter in and you don't know what could happen. So, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you for watching.